Thinking about self-publishing and don't know where to start? Join the Spa Girls each week, 30 minutes of honest advice, tips and resources. I'm Trudy J and I am here with Wendy Valla.
Hello.
Cheryl Phipps.
Hi there.
And Shah Barrett.
Hi there.
And we are practicing not doing anything dodgy whilst we are on screen.
I think we forgot for a minute which thing we were taping.
Yeah.
We've been taping so many things lately, but this is a podcast and we're going to talk serious, official information that is useful and relevant to authors and writers.
We are. And in response to a couple of questions we've had actually, listener questions, which is great. So please email anything through to us at hello@spargirlspodcast.com or on our Facebook page too, because it's always good to just kind of try and respond to what people are.
We do try.
Questions, we try.
Anyway, so the actual... So the actual topic today is we're going to talk about ARC readers, beta readers and reviews. Is that correct summation?
Sounds pretty
good. What they are, how to get them, how not to get them, all those kinds of things. Advice, anything that comes out of their brains, we're going to tell you in them. And I think one of the things is like it's a chicken and egg thing sometimes with reviews. Sometimes it feels like when you're new and you've got not that many books selling, you get told, you have to get reviews. But then you're like, well, how do I get reviews? And they say, well, people have to buy them. You get a certain number of reviews after being bought. And then you're like, So we just want to try and help you along, I guess.
Yeah, it is tough because I think also you know when you're starting out you want to advertise and things, and quite a few of those sites will only take you if you've got so many reviews, and there's it's a bit of a it's a bit of a sort of roll-on effect, isn't it? How do you get reviews and you can't buy that sort of thing. So okay, well I'm going to but first of all let's roll back and talk about alpha and beta readers. Is that where we're going to start?
That's a good idea.
Okay, all right, so who wants to go on beta readers?
Sure.
Okay, so a beta reader is somebody that you can get yourself through some friends, like you could swap doing each other's books, something like that. This book is not the final product. This book has had an edit, but it's probably going to be tweaked. Certainly, if your beta readers come back to you with some information that is, the timeline or something's particularly wrong with the book, you can fix it before it does go live. So these people can be found via your Facebook or your mailing list or, like I said, some friends, and that those things don't cost you anything. Yeah. So you can go to other services. Wendy and I have a service that we use that part of the editing process is our books will be read by a couple of beta readers. Yes. So that's another thing. But when you're starting off, you don't want to pay for anything that you can possibly avoid. So those are my tips, which we will talk about getting those things a bit later on.
So I realised in the intro I called them alpha and beta readers. And so there is another thing that is not as used as an alpha reader, and that is giving your early version of your book that is still quite rough, and maybe to someone who's going to talk about the storyline and understand that it's not a final version and it's a really rough draft, and they kind of help develop the storyline and the wider stuff of it. And then the beta readers are the one who look at it when it's a little bit more fully formed and has had a good edit and find the last few kind of mistakes if there are any still. And that's kind of, and so the other thing we're going to talk about is ARC readers, and I didn't mention that in the intro, did I?
You're fired, man.
I know.
So
one little pandemic and suddenly I'm all askew.
All over the place. Yeah. The thing about finding beta readers, I think, to note is quite often they will evolve naturally, and by that I mean now a few books down, I've had people contact me via email or messenger or whatever and go, hey, I noticed you had an issue with this, would you like me to beta read your books, or those sort of things. And they're great because they're people that are invested in you anyway, usually. So what you can do is you can just test them. You can just say, right, okay, well, I'll send you my next book and see what they come back with. If there's like red lines through everything and that, then I'd cut them immediately. But
because we don't want those people to be fixing stuff.
Goodness me.
No, but seriously, that I found a couple of gems like that. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I remember when I first started out and people would offer things like that, or I'd be worried that people would be ones who were saying, I've read your books and I'd like to beta read, or I'd like to read help you out kind of thing. And I'd be afraid of giving them free books because I felt like they'd already paid for my books. But I actually feel like you're right in terms of those are the people who are already invested, they already like your books, and getting someone like that to read them as a beta reader is much better than, you know, trying to randomly find them from other, you know, some of the other services.
I was going to say genre, and also the style that you write.
Exactly.
If they love that, they'll understand it, and so whatever their opinions are based on that.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to give them a free book, basically, because that's going to help you in the long run with the beta reading.
One free book will probably down the line sell you a lot more, because they will pick up those things that you don't want another reader finding, you know.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So, okay, so how do I go find them, aside from people who've contacted me? That seems like a terrible way to just be sitting back and waiting for all these people to contact me when I haven't sold that many books. So how do I do it?
I think the first place is definitely your mailing list, and I don't think we can ever overemphasize the importance of the mailing list, because it does serve many, many purposes. Sorry about my voice. But yeah, so trying to get your mailing list up and running, like right from the get-go, before you even publish your book, is a really good idea. And early on, if those people are interested in the genre that you're going to write, those are the people that you want to be your reviewers.
I think that's super important, to have people, if you're writing a contemporary romance, you want contemporary romance reader reading it, not somebody that's maybe into literature only, litfic only. You're not, but can I just say, you don't actually need them. Like if you're starting out and you're not writing to please a beta reader, if you know what I mean. I've seen that a couple of times where people can keep workshopping the same manuscript over and over again to try and almost please their critique group. That's another way of, you know, I guess another name for beta readers as well in some respects. So just kind of, I think, be mindful about how you're using them. Know what you want to get out of it first.
Yeah. Also, I think it's important to just keep that in the back of your head. You know, all these little things you're learning, that doesn't mean you have to go out verbatim and say, right, I've got to get a beta reader, I've got to get a
it seems pretty overwhelming.
The first thing you need to do is write that book and get it edited. The rest will evolve and will happen, but we're just giving you some clues and some tips, going forward.
Apologies if you can hear my dog barking in the background.
Yeah, actually, Trudy, that's very slack of you.
Damn pandemic. I blame the pandemic. Sorry. So what if I don't have a mailing list and I don't have a critique group? What do I do then?
Firstly, you should have a mailing list.
Yeah.
What if it's my first book? How do I do it?
So you could join maybe a couple of Facebook groups for readers in your genre that are genre specific, and make sure that you understand the rules. Always message an admin of the group first before you start, you know, posting on there to make sure. But you could ask in there. A lot of readers are really happy to help out new writers. So I think that could be a good way to do it.
I would just add there, Shah, that if you are on a Facebook group and people are offering to swap reviews with you, don't do that.
Yeah, no, that's
don't do that. It's readers you want the reviews from.
Yeah,
really, at the crux of it.
But if they're offering to read a beta,
I'm talking beta readers.
Yeah, just beta readers.
Just beta readers at the moment.
I've got to hit myself there.
Yeah, that's okay, but it's important, and we need to keep repeating that
message.
That
when we get onto the reviews. So what about if I've got this writer friend who's really good at reading books, and they write a different genre, but they're really good? Do I want to get them?
Depends what you want from them. I mean, I would take what they say in terms of so if it's about tropes and things that you know, because if you're writing genre fiction, you're going to know this because you've been listening to the Spa Girls and we've talked about understanding reader expectations, then maybe you could take their feedback and kind of almost sift through it. So if it's about story structure and plot holes, sure. But if they're like, well, why does it have to have a happy ending? You know, it's not realistic. Then you can chuck that opinion in the toilet politely.
We all know that happy endings are the only way to go forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
But don't argue with them. You cannot win that argument.
But I think that you've touched on something there that's quite important. If you're getting a friend to read this and they criticize you, then you have to be open for that, because you're handing this book to them and saying, have at it, tell me what you think. If you then get it back and go, oh, well, I don't agree with that, that's your choice to do that, but just keep it to yourselves and just be open-minded about it. I mean, I think when you're very first starting out, it's really hard to be objective about your book.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so
and it's your baby, and it feels like any criticism of your baby is like a criticism of you.
Do you remember in 2014 when you and I critiqued
oh dear
Wendy's?
God,
we're not going there, are we?
We can't not go there. Wendy cried. She yelled.
We haven't returned to that cafe where we delivered that. I'm just saying.
No, you came to my house.
It was at her house.
Around the dining room table.
Shah.
Oh, okay.
It's a different one.
Anyhow, just sometimes these things can take a while to get over when it's a friendship thing. So I would approach with caution on
39 books later now. No, but what
we're still giving it crap. I mean, that was your best-selling book for a long time. I'd just like to mention.
That's right. So when exactly. A book is written now, for me, it's a product.
Yeah.
When I'm writing it, I love it, but when it's done, and it's finished, it's a product.
And conversely, do be strong enough that if you have a belief in your book and somebody tears it down and stabs you in the heart, you don't have to change anything.
Yeah,
it is absolutely your call at the end of the day.
I would question you if you feel like they've stabbed you in the heart, that maybe you're not stepping away from it enough, and that maybe you need to like take a look at yourself and why you feel like you've been stabbed in the heart.
I've seen people that are really like rocking in a corner because what somebody has said to them has affected them so badly. They then start to doubt that they can write at all.
Yeah.
And that is the last thing.
Absolutely.
I think, and we all had that though. We've all had that. Yeah. I mean, Cher and I and Trude, we've all talked each other down off cliffs because not Trudy, she loves the meaner the better, but Cher and I, you know, like we've had really bad criticism in our time, and both of us have been like, it's okay, you'll get through it, you know.
But those first couple of books, there is an expectation that somebody's going to say something you will not like.
And also on the other side to that is the expectation is when you finish that book that this is going to be a USA Today bestseller. And let's not get around that fact. We might lie and you might say, oh, well, you know, it's just a book. That is, you know, you believe this is the best thing you've ever written.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, you're fooling yourself if you don't.
Yeah.
We all believe that.
You should be aspiring to make it the best thing you've ever written. Every single book.
I mean, every book is the best thing you've ever written, right? Until you write the next one. That's the way it works. Totally. So,
but criticism on those early books is the hardest to take.
Yeah, because you're not used to it. You haven't developed that thick skin. Yeah. The other thing I'd like to mention is that you can get different levels of beta reading. So it's kind of what my point was back then when I was asking the pointed question that no one picked up on, was that you can get someone who's just a reader, who's not just a reader, but who's a reader and who loves your genre and will read it, and they'll go, I really liked it, but it sort of felt squiffy near the middle. And they won't know why, and they won't know anything more about it, and that's about as specific as they're going to get or whatever. Or they might just go, I loved it, it was brilliant, or whatever. And then you get another person who's a would-be writer, or who is also a writer, and they might get a bit more specific, and they might have a lot more criticisms for you than this reader had. And I think there are some definite differences there, and I think
absolutely
writers can be a lot more hardcore about their criticisms, and they can get focused on things that don't actually matter that much in the context of the story and the general reader. And a general reader might not care about certain things, and your writer friend will tell you have to fix this or it's doom.
And then on the other side of that is an editor who's a beta reader. So you've got three different ways of looking at that. You've got someone who's a pure reader, someone who's a writer, and someone who's an editor. So they're all going to be looking for different things, no matter if they say they're not and they're just going to read for content. That's actually not the case. They will read to their strengths, you know.
Yeah. And I think that you have to know, I think the best beta readers are just readers. I don't think that
I agree.
You should get other writers. It's a different thing, and other editors. And a critique group even is different to a beta reader. A beta reader is someone who just reads and says, this story hung together for me and I enjoyed it as a reader, and that's cool, you know. Like,
or get a writer that doesn't write in your genre. Like I will read Cher's stuff and Cher will read mine, but because we write so very different and very different genres, that's fine. It works, you know.
I think that's a different thing. That's almost a critique thing.
Probably,
like
yes.
I'm not sure it's the same as a beta reader. I mean, not that it matters. It's, I mean, I'm being pedantic now, but you know, like just different levels of beta reading, I guess. I don't know. All right, let's move on to ARC readers, eh? So what's the difference? What's an ARC reader? Who wants to say?
An ARC reader, an ARC stands for Advanced Review Copy, or Advanced Reader Copy. It can be used interchangeably.
Because they both begin with R. Did you get that? Sorry.
It's always one, you know, like, I mean, what do you do?
This is not where we do the jokes, Trudy.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So, this is a serious one. Okay. Yeah.
So they get the book at the kind of the pointy end of the publishing end. So just it's pre-published, if you like. In the olden days, when books were printed on paper by printed presses, which still happen, the ARC copies, you'd see them sometimes, and they'd have a review copy not for sale stamped on the cover kind of thing. And usually they'd gone through an edit, but there was sometimes it might not have been a final typo correction, but very few errors. But in terms of independent authors and self-publishing authors, then it should be really about just before you press the go button on the publish button. So
and
it should be really good.
When to do it, right? And so you're saying traditional publishers used to be months beforehand.
I think this is probably one of the hardest things when you're starting out as a writer, is to get reviews on your first book when you've got no audience. You've started your mailing list, but there's only 3 people on it, and 2 of those are your cat and your dog kind of thing. And
you're the only one who puts your cat and dog on mailing lists. I'm just saying, Shah.
Okay.
Wow, who knew that? I thought everyone
did. I'm not
did.
sure about that, but thank you for that. It's really tough. It can be a real issue. So it kind of ARC and getting reviews, if you like, go hand in hand. So
they really do. Yeah, they're very. I think it's a tough one, because a lot of getting reviews is getting your book out there, and you unless you have reviews, as I spoke before, you can't advertise it. So it's a real tough one. So where do you get them? You know, I mean, and you have to be very careful who reviews them.
Can I just a slight disclaimer to that? You can advertise, but not with maybe some of the advertising lists, but you can still do Facebook ads, and you can still do Amazon ads, and you can do those kind of things. Self-driven ads, if you like, but not to the mailing
but not the
list,
list, the big lists.
So what is the
but it's always harder without a star beside it there, because it's social proof that other people have read it and liked it. So that's why.
So some people use their ARC team as almost their beta readers as well. Like they'll send them out, and maybe those ARC readers will find a couple of mistakes.
Kind of blurring the lines there.
Yeah, it is blurring the lines, but it's. I mean, preferably
a small percentage, I think, and it would be the people that actually come to you and offer, I think, rather than you asking them.
It is kind of a different thing, though, isn't it?
And you want your reviewers to review your book on wherever you've put your book. And so asking them to beta read as well, I think, it's just about much. And,
well, it's just different. Like, I think I've just seen Mark Dawson does it as well. I mean, he has a really big ARC team, but I know that some of those ARC readers will also come back to him and say, hey, look, you got this wrong about this gun and that scene. So that's the kind of thing. So it is lines blurred, but you still do have, like, the beta readers tend to be like, well, I think 3 or 4 readers that you can get that are just going to give you their feedback because they know your books and your genre, versus an ARC team.
And I think that's a good distinction. With beta readers, you normally only have maybe 1 to 3, maybe 4. I wouldn't probably do any more than that. Art reviewers, ideally the more the better, because
don't be afraid to give them away.
Everybody that takes an art copy is not necessarily going to leave a review. Authors manage them in different ways, but you guys can talk about how did you guys start off with your art reviewers?
I asked my mailing list.
My mailing list. So
I'm seeing a recurring theme here.
You grew.
I would say that anybody that comes back to you with an error in your work, which may just be a couple of typos, or maybe something more significant, you should be grateful for.
Absolutely.
But if you have like a lot of beta readers, that is very, very time consuming, and often they're picking up the same things. So, you want to get yourself a couple of good ones, and you'll only know that as time goes by, by the work they send you back.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Cher. So ARC readers, I had a mailing list, and I said and one of my questions on my automation for my mailing list is, so I noticed you've been reading all my emails that I've been sending out to you. Would you like to join my VIP readers group, which is another level, and then they are separate from the rest of them, and they are the ones that read my books when and they won't. I mean, some people are a lot more hardcore with their art groups, and they're like, if you don't leave a review and prove to me that you've left a review, you're going to be culled from the group. I'm a little bit more cash. I'm just like, if you can read it and leave a review, that's lovely. I really appreciate it, but I still like to keep the bigger group that not everyone reads on it, not everyone reviews on it, and keep them on the group and keep them involved at that higher level.
I think it's important to keep a list of your reviewers and check that they are reviewing and send reminders if they're not. But within the scope of you sending out a new release and saying, can you do this by a certain time, or however you word it. But bearing in mind that people, like, things happen and people can't always do what you want when you want it. So to take them off the list because they didn't review it in a timely manner is only shooting yourself in the foot, because they may have reviewed up until that book. So you need to look over a long period. If they've never reviewed and you've got 10 books up, probably a waste of time sending it to them, and they're getting a free book.
Although I do know that people are hardcore about it. Some authors will
just
chop.
Can I just point out here, though, that I mean, the majority of us are publishing on Amazon, some exclusively through KDP and the KU program, and some wide. But in terms of Amazon's view on, you're allowed to give out, even if you're in KU, it's fine to give out review copies for free, but it is not fine to require a review. So you have to be a little bit careful about your wording. I personally wouldn't have it on the website that you can get a free copy in return for a review. It's not meant to be that kind of quid pro quo system. It's meant to be voluntary. You'll see some people that put on the end of their reviews, I voluntarily review this. That's kind of not that necessary. I mean, I personally don't. In the ARC teams that I manage, I don't make that a requirement. But I have found that taking a fairly reasonable approach to it, in terms of making it a personal connection with the ARC reader is better than going hardcore, give me your link, the blah 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 blah, because there's a lot of authors out there that are wanting people to review their books, and things happen. And I tell you what, if you kick somebody off for not reviewing a book, that you don't know what's going on, and they could well turn around to be actually your most loyal reviewer in the future, kind of thing. So I guess I just kind of approach that with just a little bit of flexibility there.
And I think
having said that, people with 500 on their team and they're putting out 500 free review copies and getting like 10, I totally get that. That's very frustrating.
I like what you're saying about making it a personal connection. Like, these people that you're getting to review your books are doing you a favor. Like, I mean, they might be getting the book for free, and that's cool, but actually they don't have to review,
they don't.
And the thing is, will do these reviews for you. The more likely they are to feel a connection to you, the author, is when they're going to be more likely to do a review and do a positive review. And I know we're not supposed to be trying to convince them to do a positive review. We want an honest review, which we do, but developing a connection is not
and you can't say you only want, so again, around the wording and the verbiage that you're using with your ARC team, don't have, you must leave 5 stars or 4 stars. You can't direct that. That's not good form.
And you don't want it anyway. Having a book with all 5 stars looks fake. I'm sorry.
And quite often those 1-star reviews are great. Like Cher got one, was a fantastic review.
Yeah. All those ones that are 1 star, too much sex in this book. That you can't pay for that. That's a gold, And sorry, Cher, what was your one? I talked over.
No, it was just that it was very much a Hallmark book.
Yeah,
which is what it was meant to be.
Well, it was a chicklet, so I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah. So just also something else. So when you're starting out in terms of, so we're kind of getting off this ARC thing, so I'll come back to that point. Actually, I'm going to shelve that. So in terms of building your ARC team, just some suggestions are, you could always, if you've got author friends in the same genre, you could maybe ask if you could if they could offer your book to their ARC readers. So, that way you can start sort of sowing the seeds.
Yeah.
You can sign up to legitimate ARC review services, and I'm not talking about paying for reviews. I'm talking about the services that you pay to have it go out to people, and whether they review or not is another thing. And so there's two services such as Hidden Gems or readingdeals.com. There is also Booksprout, which is an online kind of review site. They have a paid version and then a freebie kind of version, so maybe try out the free version and see if that works. And
I recommend it.
Ask on social media.
For all of those.
But if you're sitting there and you haven't got a chance of getting any reviews for whatever reason, you're too shy to ask or whatever, get over that, by the way, then something like Booksprout, which is even the paid version, is quite reasonably priced, quite cheap, and get yourself 10 reviews or whatever the minimum is.
Ideally, I think aim for 5 and then be really happy when you get to the 5 mark, because that's a good thing. Also, just a caution on friends and family as well, and it is so tempting, and I totally get this, but it usually they will be taken down anyhow, because Amazon will find a connection, and we're not going to go into how they do that, but often if it's a shared ISP, then it's IP address, but so it's better to get genuine readers. It's always better to get genuine readers. I'd much rather have three genuine reviews on a book than 10 that are clearly my niece wrote this and it's fantastic.
I love my auntie's writing. I always have since I was a kid.
My daughter excelled in English.
So therefore,
proven in this book.
Don't let them do it.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
It just confuses Amazon anyway for many other reasons. So don't let your family or friends do stuff like that. So there's the ARC readers, and we're wanting them purely for reviews.
So they're the people that you should that you're wanting to leave a review, usually in the first week of publishing. So then when your book is live, whether you do a pre-order or whether when you post it, when you publish it, then it's got those stars, those reviews.
So what's the difference between a verified reader and a non-verified, or verified review and a non-verified review?
One's purchased.
Yeah, one's purchased the book.
So someone's purchased. Is it better? Is it better to have the purchase?
It is better to have a purchased one, but it's okay not to. But it is better.
A review's a review. I mean, I don't think people understand verified and non-verified anyway.
Yeah, but as a reader, like just a user of Amazon, do you really notice? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think you do. Personally, a review's a review, and it's those stars. It really is. It's those stars. It's just seeing those stars, and you're like, oh, well, there's validation instantly. There's some stars there. So I think as a first reader, coming up as a new author, that's what you need to really focus on.
I know that Mark Dawson, he has a massive ARC reader list. I think he had, I don't know if it's still like that now, but at one point I remember him saying it was 800 people. Yeah. I think remember him vaguely talking about culling it back at one point, but and he tells his ARC readers, he gives it to them for free, and then he has it up for like 99 cents for the first weekend or something, and he says to them, you can go out and buy it for 99 cents and that will help me because Amazon likes it to be reviews to be verified, but you don't have to. And so some of his people will actually go out and buy the book that they've just read for free and then do the review just because they like him and want him to do well. And that's something I've never quite had the guts to ask my people who I've sort of promised a free book to actually also go and buy it. I do mention that it's 99 cents only for that first weekend if that's what I'm doing. But I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Have you ever done anything similar? Or
No.
I feel like sometimes, I mean, I think it's kind of something to aspire to, that level, but I think it's also so kind of unreachable for most of us that it kind of doesn't feel.
And he is a marketer. He is,
And can I just say, so I manage a couple of review teams, one of which is Wendy's, and like I was saying about that personal connection. So she has I don't know, I'm not going to use numbers, but anyhow, so her ARC team, she has a on her website, it's a good place to say, if you'd like to join my ARC review team, you know, sign here. So that's one way of kind of getting.
Oh, we've lost you.
Instead of, and which is what, sorry, my thing's.
Your microphone's gone off funny.
What?
So you're there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
but it's just, I don't think the microphone's working.
What we found is that sending a direct personal email is 10 times the value of sending out a MailChimp automated email to the entire team. It's just...
Yeah, so it's that personal connection.
Shah personally knows most of them. She gets photos of their children. She has all this interaction with them. I'll speak to them too if they'll send something through. I'll chat back and say hi, you know, rah rah. But Shah's the one who will chat to them. She gets all sorts of things sent to her, and that I actually don't think she shares a lot of it with me, all the chocolates and the gifts. But other than
you don't
that,
deserve it, Wendy, because she's doing hard work. Just FYI.
Clearly.
But
so
what's another level? That is, you know, like having somebody to do those.
It is, and I couldn't possibly do that for 800. You know, so it's kind of swings and roundabouts.
It's whether you get that devoted list of people who every single one of them reviews for you, and knows you personally, and will send you a Christmas card at Christmas time, or you have a bigger list that you treat a little bit more impersonally, but you get.
And to be fair, we didn't start off like that. So we started off like general, you know, a couple of hundred or 100 or so. And then you gradually start seeing the same people that are consistently reviewing. Now, having said that, Amazon, and I'm using Amazon as a person, but Amazon as a you know, artificial intelligence and an algorithm. So you don't necessarily want the same people reviewing on every single book. It's good to mix up the reviews. Otherwise, you know, they can, and here's what will happen. You can work really hard for reviews and sometimes they'll just get taken down and it will make you want to pull your hair out. And
it's quite upsetting for the reviewer as well. Because
very upsetting for the reviewer.
Some of them, they take that very personally.
Absolutely.
They've wanted to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely. But there's other places that they can leave reviews. Goodreads, for example, is a great place. Anybody with a blog, that kind of thing. So.
You know, there's so many places. The caveat to that is, I guess, that just remember that you don't try and rot the system in any way, shape or form, because they'll be onto you. And
getting back to what Cheryl was saying before, do not do author swaps. That is not good practice. I personally, and I think Trudy agrees with me in this, I don't think authors should be leading reviews anyhow.
No.
Especially if you're writing in contemporary romance, you should not. I don't believe that. If you want to talk a book up, great, do it on your social media. But I just think it's like McDonald's leaving a review for Burger King. It's
not objective.
It's not objective.
You're not objective. You're no longer an impartial observer.
No.
So anything you say.
I think if it's not your genre, maybe slightly different.
If you want,
I don't mind that. Like, you know, if I'm a romance writer, if I wanted to leave a sort of thriller or a non-fiction ads course, which I really raved about, or something like that, that's different because that's validation that I'm an author and I've, you know.
An ads course is different to a book.
Yeah, I'm just saying
review other books.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with it if it's like something completely out of my realm, and someone who was looking at the review wouldn't even know who I was. It's different with if it's contemporary or historical, which is what I write.
I think even
my take on it.
Romance. I think you're blocked from reviewing anything in romance, Wendy, not just contemporary romance.
Well, I am blocked.
I mean, we all are, aren't we? Amazon won't let any of us review. And I mean, I think that's the thing too. It's like Amazon, according to their whatevers, has decided that we are authors and we should not be reviewing.
Yeah.
So does that not kind of indicate that
you'll
maybe
get an email to say that your review is not valid? Because
it used to drive me bonkers because they would send the email in saying you should
Please
review this book, and I remember the first couple of times it happened, and I was like, yes, I can review again because Amazon is sending. Then I'd go through and I'd spend all this time doing the review, and then I'd get the thing saying, no, you can't review.
Sorry, you can't review. Yeah.
And it was just, it's not because we did anything bad, it's just because they figured out along the way that we've got Amazon Central accounts and we're obviously putting stuff up there. So conflict of interest, people.
Yeah. I think Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to just add one more kind of no. Please don't go to Fiverr and buy 500 reviews and that kind of thing. First of all, they're all bot accounts. They will likely get taken down anyhow. And it's not a good look for a book to have 5 stars. This was an amazing book, because he usually like 3 sentences, cut and paste in very poor English. It's just not a good look for you. It looks spammy. Yeah.
Yeah. Other things that look spammy is all 5-star reviews, and you've got like 300 of them or something.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say is, what is a good number for an ARC team? Like, is 10 people enough, or are you wanting to get 100? I mean,
listen, when you're starting off, 10's amazing. Like, seriously. Yeah.
Don't get
even 1 or 2. Seriously, even 1 or 2.
Just don't get hung up on it, you know, like
just
seriously
keep going.
Don't get hung
Is
up.
there a limit? How many do you want? What are you aiming for?
I couldn't imagine trying to deal with 800. It's just not something I would want to.
What about 100?
100's fine.
That would be all right. And
you can still do the personal thing, but it's still a decent number to get reviews. Yeah,
I have about 40 something, and at least half of them would review for me every single time, and that will fluctuate. Well, it will increase depending on what genre I'm sending them to.
Yeah. I've got about 80, but they definitely don't all review, and they just and I don't mind that. I'm not going to get finicky about that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add a couple of other things just in terms of how to get reviews. So ask for them at the end of your book, and your back matter is a really good way to do it. Just, say, please, look, help other readers find this book. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate a review. What did they say? There's a phrase about asking for the sell, asking for the buy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Remind your mailing list subscribers. So when you have got a mailing list, occasionally put a little, just, hey, look, thanks so much. I really appreciate reviews on this. And often reviews are a reflection of how well the book's selling, not necessarily a driver to sales. So just think about it. It's kind of almost like the cart before the horse kind of thing. So get a few on there, but then try and relax. Like, don't be obsessive about it.
What did David Gogren that said it was about 1 review for every 100 sales or something?
I think it's so for sales, I think it was 1 for every 100. For free books, if you're running a free book bubble or a free book doing other promotions, it's usually 1 in 1,000. And just also another little kind of reminder that if you do a free run, and depending on how you promote it, is often you will get reviews that aren't that great. So sometimes it will affect your review star average, because they're people that will pick it up because it's free, but it's not necessarily their kind of cup of tea. So just kind of prepare for that one, and that's
don't freak out.
Please don't freak out on Amazon and reply to reviews from the author.
Can I just say that to make sure that the reviews go up when you need them to be, you need to have that book in their hands between 2 and 6 weeks.
Really good point, Cheryl. Thank you.
So
yes.
2 weeks. 2 weeks is kind of a minimum. Some of us have done it 1 week and sent a very big email. But, things happen with editors, blah, blah, blah. But, 6 weeks is actually the perfect time.
I don't know. I don't know if 6 weeks is the perfect time. I would dispute that simply because they'd forget about it. Like, there's 6 weeks from when so if they grab your book and go, oh my God, this is amazing, I love Cheryl's book, and they read it within those first 2 days, and then they've got 6 weeks to forget about it before. Well,
I have a platform where I can send them a reminder that the review is due. But to be honest with you, I say that because that's something that I've heard other people talk about.
I think 4 weeks is fine.
But my books honestly go between 2 and 3.
I would normally send it 2 weeks.
I was going to say 2 and 3 is about the sweet spot, and I would actually be reluctant to send it anything outside of 3 weeks any longer because of that exact same reason. And also a lot of the people that are on the ARC teams and that are really good consistent reviewers are often reading for a lot of authors as well. So they've actually got a busy schedule, and at least they're little cotton socks for doing it too.
We need them. We love them.
We do.
We do need them.
And just a final reminder that reviews are for other readers. They're not actually for the author themselves. This is not an ego stroking exercise, although it's very hard to, kind of accept that one. But they're actually about, it's a reader to reader connection. And so just try and keep a little bit of
Don't read
professional
them.
distance. And if you're
Don't read them.
Wendy can't read her
uncomfortable,
reviews, but
get somebody else to read them for
you.
you.
You will read them, but especially starting off, you will read every single one because we know you. As you go down the track, stop.
And sorry, just a final, I'm all about the legal disclaimers here today, but just you're not allowed to incentivize reviews. So you can't say, I'll give you a $5 gift card in return for leaving a review. I will put you, if you leave a review, I will put you in a draw for a diamond necklace.
Yeah,
anybody
very specifically something you're not allowed to do.
Anybody that's been around for a while will know exactly what I'm referencing there.
Yeah.
Bad girl.
But Amazon does allow for a book to be offered to reviewers without any obligation to post a review, and that's it. You cannot promise them your firstborn or,
Oh, why not?
Anything else.
Maybe.
Really? That's so disappointing.
Yeah.
I know.
So have we covered off everything? I think we have.
I think I want to go back to exactly what you said at the beginning, Wendy, and that was, don't let this get in the way of finishing your book. I would just hate for anybody that's starting off their first book and get kind of overwhelmed with the thought of beta readers and alpha readers and ARC teams and all this.
I have no review yet coming.
Exactly.
Just
everybody starts from zero.
Just grow with it. The thing about this is there is a lot of information out there and we're all learning all the time. Just take what you need and just grow with it. There's a huge community of people, us included, that will be able to help you if you have any issues. Just don't let it get, don't let it get in the way of something that is so wonderful, and that's writing a book and finishing a book. And then you can move on to the other stuff.
Well,
yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you to the Spa Girls. Thank you to all your listeners. You're amazing. Where can we be found if you want to come and stalk us?
Somebody else can do it today. Somebody else can do it. It's always me. You get sick of hearing about
at spargirlspodcast.com. Come and see it. Yeah, at Spa Girls Podcast. Leave us some, a little note.
Leave us reviews, please.
Begging for reviews.
Questions.
Anything like that. Who would you like
Come and subscribe to the YouTube channel. What the hell? Let's go.
Let's just throw it all out there.
If you're listening to this, good news. You can have the visuals to accompany on YouTube at Spa Girls Podcast.
And watch us be dorks on screen. We've actually been relatively good today. We haven't done any weird facial expression.
I apologise for my microphone. The cat was sitting on it and the cord fell out. So.
There you go.
There you go. It's
all right. Keep well.
All right.
Keep well,
Thank
everyone.
you so much for listening to another episode. See you all next time. Bye.